expects the fans are going to do in that situation. You know what fans are like, especially away fans. You know, they're diehard. I'm not saying they're more diehard than the home fans, but he's going over there. You know, they were quite volatile. Do you know what's funny? I don't disagree with what you're saying about this game, kind of watching it between your fingers. But what I will say is Tottenham seem to find a way to beat the teams that they shouldn't beat and then lose against Ipswich or Bournemouth. You know, they just beat City.
Yeah, the one win that he mentioned was against City.
Exactly.
But then that was against a City side hopelessly out of form. No win in November across 6 games.
Yeah, but no one expected them to go there and win 4-0.
17 goals in those 6 games. I mean, I think this Chelsea is in such good form. The way that Tottenham want to play, it is unsustainable against this Chelsea team.
With Vicario as well being out.
No Vicario. No Van de Ven, definitely. Romero might come back, but I think they will smell the weakness in that back line and they will attack. Palmer will pick up spaces as he can. Madueke will float between the fullback and the centre half, and on the left side, any number of options they have to be able to go at them. This could be a difficult afternoon at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium because obviously with the fans kind of turning against Postecoglou, and there had been a split between those who wanted to see the free-flowing football after Conte and Mourinho and those who loved the pragmatism of those two men. Now, with the goals flying in and teams seeing an opportunity to outclass Tottenham and the fears around Chelsea on Sunday, I'm worried.
The thing is, though, I think Ange Postecoglou's made some big calls this year. He took Maddison off at half-time during that game, you know, put on Basuma and Sawa playing in there. And I think Son not playing and not starting, I think that the fans love Son. And he's not having a great season. But the fact that I think Kulusevski's actually been their best player, or one of them. But I think that's when the fans start to kind of demand that, you know, you're going to lose games in this Premier League. Not everyone's going to go for, unless you're Arsenal Invincibles, and for a whole season without losing. But I think that game against Bournemouth was poor.
When you're in a team that plays tactics that you think this isn't working, what's it like in a dressing room with the players? Do you tell the manager? Because that high line that they play, opposition teams are finding it so easy to play against.
I'm just going to put the question on pause and we're going to hear from the managers.
I've lived in this world for long enough to know that when people aren't happy, they'll express their opinions, and I'm never going to hide. I'm never going to shirk that responsibility. That's fine. You know, I'll take on board. Is it nice? No, because like I said last night, I'm not just a manager. I'm a human being like everyone else. None of us likes to hear those sort of things, but it is what it is. It doesn't disappoint me. It doesn't frustrate me. It doesn't make me angry. I'm just as determined as ever to get it right. Not because of that, but because of my resolve to bring success to the football club. If I was worried about my own existence, I would have fought tooth and nail to block Harry Kane leaving the football club, but it wasn't the right decision for the club because he was in the last year of his contract.
They are, first of all, very good players, very good manager. They play, it's very clear what they want to do on the ball and off the ball. And then what kind of problems they have, I don't know. You have to be there to understand what kind of problems. But they are fantastic team, and you see also the results. 2 weeks ago they beat City 4-0. So they are very good team.
Okay, so we're going to get your answer now. It was like a game show, so we find out who wins after the break.
Yeah, what do you do when a manager, you don't necessarily know what the tactics are? I think,
or when you know what they are, but
you don't like them.
Though you don't like them because they're putting you under so much pressure. That high line is conceding so many goals.
I think the players have to have a conversation with the coach. And I also think you can take responsibility within the game. It's the same as Southampton keep playing out from the back. That's a whole other story. It's not working. And I think sometimes the coaches have to just let the players, yes, set them up. That's what you do. That's what you're the training ground for. But also give more responsibility to the players. But I played for coaches where, you know, I won an Olympic bronze medal playing for England, and we just used to bypass the midfield. We went straight from our centre-back to our centre-forward, and we were thinking we couldn't stand the tactics, but we were like, hold on a minute here. This isn't our style of football, but we're winning. So you have to work with what the players are wanting, and if it can have to be cumbersome, because like I said, during that World Cup, we didn't like the coach's tactics, but we just kind of thought, well, actually, we're winning here. We tried to play football for 15 years, didn't win a medal, and now we're playing like this type of football where it's like table tennis and we're winning. So I think it has to come from the players buying in, but if it's not working, players then have to take responsibility and think, this is not working. That's down to the teams have leadership groups. It's not just the captains now.
Yeah.
In a team, it's like, this is not working, this is what we need.
Yeah, that was the most casual drop-in of an Olympic medal win I have ever heard. We're just taking a look at Spurs.
You have to respect it.
I meant World Cup, actually. I never even played the Olympics. I meant World Cup medal.
We're just having a look at Spurs. You don't know what you're going to get.
That's the problem, because the fans of the more open style of play, they enjoy the goals, the thrills, the spills, but you can have that, but then can you really aspire to finish in the top four? Can you really aspire to win a cup competition? Possibly. They're in the latter stages of the League Cup, so they will say if we get good draws going forward, we got a real good chance there. But I think in terms of the league, they'll look at some of the teams they've slipped up against, conceded goals against. It is no exaggeration to say that Bournemouth should have scored 5 the other night. They were that shambolic at the back. They lacked so much urgency, and fans have bombarded phone-ins. They've been on social media. They've really vented about that performance because it shows a lack of fight, hunger, desire, consistency, organisation. They're concerned, and that's why there's a big worry. Coming up a side like Chelsea, their last win, I think they've got 1 clean sheet in their last 9, but they've scored a hatful of goals so far this season, and they will be able to shred Spurs if they believe that just because they're at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, they can continue to play the way they always do.
And how much of that when you're on the pitch, Leanne, and the fans are starting to get nervous and the fans are starting to get edgy? I remember being at the Ipswich game and they were booing. So this fight has been building even since the last day of last season. Remember when they played City and there was a title, involved somehow with Arsenal. They could have helped Arsenal out and they didn't want to, and Ange couldn't believe it. He had to go at the fans. This whole fight with the fans has been going.
Yeah, I mean, Antonio Conte, Jose Mourinho, this is what I was saying about at the top of the show. Like, it can't always be the manager and the coaches that have to take the responsibility of the club. It has to come down to the players as well, and the players haven't been good enough of late. Obviously, against Man City, that was a strange game, 4-0. It was an amazing game from Tottenham. But I think, But
do you not think that when you become a manager, part of that job is managing the players, keeping them on side, maintaining that fine balance between discipline and getting millionaire players to run for their lives? That's what Pep Guardiola is so good at.
But then the quality, though, Darren, though. That's the only thing I'm going to say. Like, look at the quality that Pep Guardiola has in comparison to what Ruben Amorim has. You know, they're not the same type of quality players. Same with Tottenham.
But if you look at Amorim, United players have started running. Their urgency is back in their game. I watched them against Everton. 2 of the 4 goals they scored were from pressing.
Yeah, there's non-negotiables.
Forcing other players to lose the ball. And I think that's what a manager's job is. So, yes.
But I think he's maximising them to a certain degree, though. Like, the certain players, I think Son's not having a great season, but other than that, I think he's maximising what he's got. He's playing with what he has. I mean, Maddison didn't have a great start to the season, came good, but I think, sometimes the individuals at the club, I mean, you lose Harry Kane like the season before last, that's going to be a big loss. Solanke, that was Ange Postecoglou's signing. He wanted Dom Solanke. When people thought he was going to go for Ivan Toney, he said, this is the only player that I want in that position. He hasn't played well. He's not scoring goals. Changed a different dimension for them, hasn't he? Like, stretches them, does really good holding up the ball, but you're always going to be judged on goals. And Dom Solanke, for that much money, I don't think is produced in a way that Ange Postecoglou believed in him. But did the Tottenham fans really... I didn't think he was going to go for that much. 65, wasn't it, in the end? To Tottenham, coming from Bournemouth, yes, he banged in the goals there, but been quite underwhelming goal-scoring-wise.
Yeah. Well, I got to ask, from a goal-scoring perspective, Chelsea, everything is going right for them going forward, and Enzo Maresca doesn't want to put them in the title conversation, but whether he likes it or not, they are. Yeah,
sometimes you don't get that option, that luxury in the Premier League, because if you're in the kind of form that they are, then you are in it anyway. And by the end of last weekend, they were only out of the top 2 on goal difference. I think as far as Chelsea are concerned, they are just so good in front of goal. I've always said that I didn't think they could finish in the top 4 unless they could sort their defending out. They've conceded in all but one of the last 9 games. And I think as far as the title race is concerned, that could be their undoing. But that capability to score goals that they have, with Palmer pulling the strings and all sorts of players weighing in.
Yeah.
Palmer's the kind of player that makes other players around him better. He's almost like the orchestra conductor. And I think there is a confidence coursing through Chelsea right now that enables them to believe that they can beat anyone they play against.
And I think
should be a really
he
good...
will be telling them, though, they're in the title race. I think what they're telling us, you know, they asked Cole Palmer, they asked Maresca after the game, do you think you're in the title race? And they say no. But best believe within that dressing room.
Is that what happens?
Yeah, 100%. Like, they'll be feeling it.
So
and
did that happen to you? Did that happen to you when you were in dressing rooms?
Yes and no, but when I played in England, I always played for Arsenal. We won. It was like we were always that team that everyone wanted to knock off, similar to Man City.
What was the message outside the dressing room from the manager?
I mean, we just knew we were good. So it was almost like...
But when the manager was in press conferences, what did the manager say compared to what they said?
Like what Enzo Maresca says now. So even when, you know, we were winning things there, and so it's difficult. When I've been on teams that weren't winning and we were in the running to win, then the conversation changes. Does that make sense? Because obviously, like, as a player, Chelsea were not going to be in and around it. Under Poch, like, no one saw this coming. Enzo Maresca's gone in there. I think Caicedo's having a better season this year. I think, obviously, Cole Palmer and Christopher Nkunku, I really like him. RB Leipzig, I thought he was brilliant. And obviously, he had that injury when he first came in. But they've scored 5 midweek, 5 different goal scorers. Jadon Sancho getting his first goal.
Enzo's also weighing in with goals as well. Lots of people were saying, well, you're £100 million and you can't get in the team. And clearly he's taken that on board because now he is in the side and he is grabbing goals and he is making that kind of contribution that a captain could make. And that's why when you look at that entire front 6, there are weapons, there are points of attack that I just cannot see Spurs dealing with.